Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Pollock, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Financial Reporting in Sage 100 and Sage Intacct, presented by SWK's Bastian-Worth. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise to a minimum. However, throughout the webinar, you can ask any questions you have. If you'd like to submit a question, look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar, and we'll answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. We're also recording this presentation, and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees, as well as those who registered but were unable to attend today. And finally, we would appreciate your participation in our closing survey question. With that said, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to attend this webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you with tools, support, software, and industry knowledge whenever you need it. So whether you're just here researching a new solution or you're here to learn more about Sage 100 and Sage Intacct, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions you have. And lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll post our recorded webinars. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Bastian to get us started.
Hey, hello, everyone. I already almost messed up here by not moving the slide over fast enough for Courtney. Courtney, I apologize for that. Yeah, welcome everyone to this SWK webinar on financial reporting in Sage 100 and Sage Intacct. My name is Bastian Boesner-Worth. I will be hosting today's session. And I looked at the attendee list. Thanks for everyone that is joining us here today. And I saw there's a lot of people I already have worked with in the past, and for everyone that I haven't worked with that doesn't know me, I'm the practice director of our Sage Intacct practice here at SWK. I've been with SWK for roughly 7 years, spent a lot of my time here helping our Sage 100 clients with complex reporting and automation needs. On the Sage Intacct side, we work with our clients on designing their impact solutions and ensuring that we have successful implementations. I love working on reporting projects, and I love the options that Sage 100 and Sage Intacct offers us to do that. And I want to share some of this love with you today, and we want to dive a little bit deeper into financial reporting in Sage 100 and in Sage Intacct. If you're using one or the other solution, I really encourage you to pay attention to both of the solutions and all the things we're looking at. It's always good to broaden your horizon there, even to extend it a little bit over the one solution that you already use. I will be turning my camera off. I just wanted to show myself here real quick, but I will turn my camera off so that we can focus on the content here, right? So let's take a look at our agenda. There it comes. So we will start with a brief overview over reporting tools that are available for us in Sage 100. And I know just looking at PowerPoint slides, that's not what you're here for. So the second part of our webinar today is we will look at Sage Intelligence. I will show you in the software itself a few things that you can do to get stunning financial reports, right? From there, we will go briefly over how we can connect our Sage 100 to tools like Microsoft Power BI. And we do that because lots of our clients are interested in dashboarding and dashboard solutions. And this question came up multiple times, how they can grab the data from Sage 100 and present it in Power BI. So we will go over that briefly. From there, we will look at dashboards in Sage Intacct. A big part of that is dimensional accounting. So I will then go into dimensional accounting a little bit more in detail, and then we will look at financial reporting on the Sage Intacct side. So it's a lot of content, and let's start with the reporting tools for Sage 100. So if you're a Sage 100 user on the accounting team, then you definitely know your financial reports. So we have the financial reports tool available to us, and we can use the built-in reports, and we can of course create our own with the new financial report wizard there. And that is somewhat limited because we can only work with these groupings that are available to us, and doesn't offer us much flexibility to build out the reports in a more custom manner, right? So Sage 100 also offers crystal reports, so we can do custom reporting with crystal reports. That is really not a good solution when it comes to financial reports, but for non-financial reports that I like to see on a piece of paper, that is perfect, right? So that I can accomplish a lot there with crystal reports. Sage Intelligence is a tool that utilizes Excel to present the data. So it pulls the data from Sage 100, it puts it into an like Excel sheet, and from there I can use all the power of Microsoft Excel to present the data in the way how I want to present it, and I can use macros, I can use pivot tables, and all the good stuff that Excel offers to create the reporting that I need. And Sage Intelligence has a built-in financial report designer tool, so that allows me to create financial reporting, right? We mentioned Power BI, so we can hook up our Sage 100 to Power BI for dashboarding solutions. And then, of course, some of you are on Sage 100 Premium, so you're using the SQL data backend for Sage, and some clients like to use Microsoft SQL Server reporting services. So this is a reporting solution that is built into the Microsoft SQL Server environment and allows you also to create reporting right from there. Sage 100 also offers us an ODBC connection if we are on Sage 100 Standard or Advanced. And this ODBC connection we can hook up to directly Excel. We can report in Excel, or we can report into any other reporting solution that is capable of reading from this ODBC connection. And I also want to mention that there are third-party solutions available like DataSelf here that we use internally at SWK for some of our reporting needs that incorporate a lot of the functionality that a Power BI can offer or a Tableau would offer, but already have it prepackaged with a bunch of reports and KPIs that you might want to look at. So lots of solutions. But today we want to talk about Sage Intelligence, and let me go into Sage Intelligence here. Give me a second to bring this up. Okay, so for everyone that hasn't worked with Sage Intelligence, here's my virtual machine, my virtual Sage environment. Sage Intelligence is built into a connected direct here into my Sage 100 environment. It has a few components. We have a report viewer. This report viewer really just allows the user to run specific reports. So I can click the report viewer, it shows me my reports, and I can run my reports from there. So it then connects into Excel. It loads the data from Excel. It connects to Sage. It loads the data from Sage into my Excel sheet, and there I have my presentation, and I can modify it if I need to, or work with it. Right. I have the report manager tool that allows me to create, modify reports, rename them, group them, schedule them, right? So with Sage Intelligence, I can also put my reports on a schedule. That tool uses the Windows task scheduler to accomplish that. So I can run reports on a schedule if I want to. And then we have the connector module here, which is used to basically connect to the data and write the queries. For financial reporting, we don't need that, but if we want to report on non-financial data, or if we also want to connect into other data sources, which we can connect into any ODBC compliant data source, then we can write our own queries to pull the data that we need for our reports that we then use in the report manager to get the data out, right? Then we have a license manager. That is pretty self-explanatory. It's used to deal with the licensing for the product. And the security manager allows me to use my Sage 100 licenses, my Sage 100 users that I have to, and I can give those users, individual users, rights specific reports and make sure people see the information they need to see and don't see what they're not supposed to see, right, in the reporting side. Especially for financial reporting, this might be a relevant feature that you're able to exclude users or include users into running specific reports, right? So I can open up the report manager here so you can see this real quick. So this is my report manager. On the left side, I have my folders where I have all my different reports. Here I can double click them and then I can run them. I can edit them, create new ones, depending on how many data points I have in my system, depending on what I'm reporting on. Some of these reports they run within a few seconds, and others might take a while to run, really depending on the data structure and the amount of data I have. I can run consolidations, and we will go into this a little bit on the financial side. So there's a lot of functionality here. So let's start with like a balance sheet, right? That's a typical scenario of what clients want to see. And as you might notice here on the right side in my Excel, I have this additional little task pane here. This is the financial report designer that Sage intelligence put into my Excel. So, and I only see this when I run a report that has this financial information in it. So I can use my Excel the way I'm used to use it, and only if I run one of these financial reports, this comes up. So this report, this is what you see once you run a report from the report manager. I go into my report manager, I click run my financial report, and this is where I end up, right? So the way how I like to build those out is depending on how many tabs, meaning different reports I want to put into one Excel sheet. I tend to put a summary sheet in front of it where I put all the logic in. So here you have your report year, your report period, your budget code, and then something that allows me to hide 0 rows, meaning if I run a report and I have lines that are not populated, I am able to hide those automatically, right? So let's take a look at the balance sheet. And this is standard Excel, right? So I can build those out any way I want, right? So this gives me complete flexibility on what I want to group together, how I want to calculate specific percentages, things like that. I have full flexibility here. So how does Sage Intelligence do that? How does it come up with those numbers? So it loads all this data from Sage 100 into this sheet, and it's here on hidden sheets, and then it gives me a variety of formulas that I can work with, and you see them here on the right side. These are the formulas. So I have opening balance, which is the opening balance for the year, for the fiscal year. I have a closing balance, which is the closing balance for each period that I have. And then I have an actual for the current period, or for a period. I have an actual year to date, and then I have the same for budgets, right? And with these formulas, that's really all that I need to create any financial reporting that I want, right? So the closing balance here basically shows me the closing balance for a specific period. And as you can see here in my formula, right? And I just clicked here into the formula and then hit the FX button to get the details on the formula. You can see I have my GL link here, and we will go into this in a second. Then I have my report year and my report period. So the way how I set this up is I'm using named references, right? So it's not this one is a cell reference, so it says B12. That's where this is coming from, and I will show you B12 here in a bit. But I can also use uh, I can also use named references, which I do here, report year and report period. So if I go out of here and go over here, then you will see that this cell is named R year and R period. I like to do that because it's easier to read, right? But you could also just reference the particular cell that would work just as well. So all these formulas, my actuals, my budgets, my opening and closing balance, have a lot of switches that I can utilize. So I have my GL link here, right? This is the GL account that I want to use. I have my year, my period. If I have a consolidation, which I will show you in a bit, then I can use multiple companies here as well to consolidate between whatever companies I want to consolidate between. I can use additional filters like account category codes, account group codes, account types. I can use reporting trees. And even if I want to see just credits or just debits, I can do that as well. I can specify the balance type and just look at credits or debits, or bring them into my report as separate columns, right? So lots of flexibility. Now, I know this looks a little overwhelming if you have never used it, but it's really easy to learn if you are a user of Excel. If you're in the accounting department, most likely you are a user of Excel. Then this is really just a few more formulas that you add to your toolbox, and then you're ready to go. Also, these formulas have great function help available, right? So I can just click here on this help on this function, and this really explains to me all the ins and outs on how these formulas work, right? So it's easy to get the information that you need. So what you what you see here is, you see I'm taking the closing balance based on this B12, right? And I made this here in a way that we can easily open this up. Usually this would be in my reports, these would usually be hidden columns, but I made them show so I can easily bring them out here. So as you can see here, this is a an account number that includes these question marks. So I can use these question marks as wildcards. So that means I'm looking here at every account in my chart of accounts. It starts with 10, then it can have whatever number for the third and the fourth place here, and then the middle segment also whatever it is, and that all together comes up to this particular number, right? So um, that is a great feature. I can as well, if I don't want to do that, right? I can just use my main accounts, my natural accounts. So I could go here and just say uh, 1000, right? Now I took all my accounts that start with 1000, or I could do 1000 to 2000, right? And now it's the range of all accounts, 1000, 2000. You can see that these numbers here, they change based on my selection, right? I could do 1000 to 2000 plus 3000, right? So you can do all of this. I can also, depending on the complexity of what you have, right? We have clients that have calculations that are very complex. So you can have something like this, where you say like all the ones with 100, but then we don't want the ones that have the third segment being 200, but we want the ones that have 300, right? So we could do that to accomplish these kind of things, right? So it's very easy to build out complex calculations just by putting the correct accounts here together. So I and of course we can not only show these numbers here, right? Here we have our actuals, which we get from the closing balance. It's a balance sheet, so we're looking at the closing balance at the end of the period. We have our budgets, and and then we get to the variance. Again, simple Excel formula here for us. And then we look at the prior year actual, which is also very easy to get, because all we do is we take our reporting year and subtract -1, right? And then we have the number for the prior year. And then we have the variance between the actuals for the current year and the last year. And the beauty is, when I ran this report, I got all the data that I had in the system up to that point. So I can now go here and just say like, well, I want to see 2015. So I just do this, and now I see my 2015 numbers over my 2014 numbers, right? very easy to go back in time here and look at different things. So I want to see period 1. All I have to do is I type the 1 here, and now I see the period 1 information. And again, all of this up here, it's just simple Excel logic to make it look nice, and it works like a charm. So it's very easy to create these financials. Are very easy to go back in time, um, and very easy to utilize all these Excel tools. As you can see here, it's only showing me the accounts that have activity, right, or that have a balance. In this case, it's a balance at the end of this period. So how did I do that? Again, it's standard Excel functionality. So I added a little hide check column here. Again, this would usually be hidden in my report, but it just checks if three values, any of these three columns has a value. So if I have an actual, I want to see the column, or if I have a budget, I want to see the column, or if I had an actual last year, I want to see the column, right? That's just my rule for when I want to see those. And then I can say here this yes or no. So I say no, go to my balance sheet, and now I see everything, right? So because the ones that don't have anything, you can see it comes out as a 1, and that's just my indicator that I hide it. And then I'm just using a simple macro in the back end to hide those columns. But I could also use just a regular filter, an Excel filter to hide those, right? It would be the same outcome. So great example on how I can easily combine my Excel tools with my Sage data to get great reporting outcomes here. So I talked about the ability to consolidate data, right? So I have to close this report here real quick and open up another one for us. I don't have to save this. If I run multiple companies in Sage 100, right, I have the ability to combine the data, the financial data from those companies into one report, right? And no matter how I want to see it, I can see this. I can say like, okay, I only want to consolidate company ABC with ABX, or I want to see all three together, or all of them in columns next to one another. I think by now you get the concept. Like I can do this any way I want. So here I have a report um, that shows me my period activity, my GL actual for all my accounts, main accounts for these three companies, right? And um, what I can do now is I can say like, oh, I want to see this just for company ABC. So I can type ABC here, and now I see the numbers just for ABC. In my formulas, the way how that worked is, I want to open this up here so you can see this. I can see I'm getting the company here. It's one of my filter criteria that I have here. So I'm just pulling it from up there, right? So now I just see ABC in here, and all the numbers are just for ABC. I can say I want to see it for A, B, C, and MFG. So I comma separate them, and it shows them together, right? Or I want to see all three of them. I just can take the filter out, and it will show for all three companies together. So very easy to create financial reporting that is consolidated, right? So I can run them next to one another, put my eliminations company in if I have one, and really create stunning reports. Another feature that I have is I can actually drill down into this data, right? So right from here from Excel, I can go here, right click, and then I have my little drill down button, so I can do this. And the first drill down takes me into the company level. So if it's from multiple companies, if the number in there would come from multiple companies, I would see it here, right? If I would see here the company code, and then the second level is the accounts, we see the accounts. And then from there, I can actually go further and right click again and drill down down to the transaction level, right? So we can go down to the transaction level, which gives me the ability really um, to work with my financial reports in a different way than I could when I'm just looking at paper, right? On my paper output, I then still have to open up my ERP and I have to go in there and start digging there if I want to validate numbers here. I already have that built into the system, right? So it's a great feature that I have here, this drill down capability into my financial reports. We also have the ability to utilize reporting trees, and that is something that um, that's really powerful because it allows us to create a reporting template or multiple reporting templates that we then use on a variety of, let's say, departments or locations, right? So if you have multiple departments, locations, divisions, whatever you might want to run your financials by, you can just create one template and then just switch the reporting tree and have this data populate just for those trees. So here I created this test trees, and let me click into manage so we can take a look at how those work. So in my tree structure, I can have parent and child relationships, and this is multi-level, right? So I can go further down. So I created um, a reporting tree for corporate, and I say, and in my scenario, right, my chart of accounts has three segments as the main account, then it has the division as the middle, and then it has another two character segment here. So everything that has a middle segment of 00 is corporate. So I created a tree that has that, right? Then I created trees for my divisions. Same thing, it's division 1, division 2, division 0. So they have this, and down here I can see all the accounts that fall into this category. So I have that. Um, and then I can also, and here I have this company filter. Any means it takes it from all companies. But then again, I can also filter here and say like, well, I only want to have something that only looks at ABC, right? So it's an additional filter to the filter that I have here on top on the left. So I can get to my information in multiple ways. So I set up those trees, and then I have these all the vision entries, and they're really just showing me the group level, so they have nothing attached to it. So I can build those out, and we have clients that have super complex trees, right? They have multiple departments, multiple substructures under those departments, and it gets a lot, but it makes it very easy to report then once you have set those up. So in my report here, the reporting tree is one of the switches that I have here in my formula. So here you see this is the reporting tree unit path, right? This is basic, and I'm pulling this from this column there. So I can go here and I can say like, well, I want to see these numbers just for corporate. So I pull this over here, and now I see just the corporate numbers. I want to see this for all my divisions. I pull this over. I have it for all my divisions. And I mean, you get it. I can pull this over here just to look at division number 2. Nothing happened in division number 2. Division number 1, I have some more stuff here, right? So very easy to create those kinds of reports. And with a little bit of macro magic, we have done in the past reports where you have this kind of reporting with trees, and then we use a macro that switches automatically this tree and then prints reports for you, right? So let's say you have a 3 or 4 level structure. You have an area, you have a store, you have a region, right? So you can print, first you print it for the store, then you print it for the region, then you print it for the area, and you put all these reports together. So it's very easy to just maintain one template and then use these reporting trees to get to the details. So Sage Intelligence is a very flexible tool that you can utilize to to create and automate a lot of stuff around your financials. And feel free to ask any questions you might have, and we try to answer them at the end. And um, in the sake of time, let's take a look at Sage. For the sake of time, let's take a look at Sage Intacct here and what that has to offer. So let me switch back to my presentation. Okay, so well, we're not going yet to Sage Intacct. I apologize. So I had said I want to answer a question that we get all the time on how to connect our Sage 100 to Power BI. Again, there are tools available like Data Self that have all of this already done for you. It's turnkey for you for the most part, and those are great. But we have lots of clients that want to do stuff themselves, right? Because they report on other data sources out of their systems there. So if you are on Sage 100 and you're using the SQL Server backend, you can use the Microsoft on-premise data gateway, right? So that is a tool that you install, or someone we could install it on your servers, and that communicates between your Sage SQL Server and then the Microsoft Power BI solution, and then you can create reports there and have them readily available for you wherever you are, right? By now, this Microsoft on-premise data gateway also supports ODBC connections, so you can actually, even if you're on Sage 100 Providex, so not the SQL Server backend, you can still utilize this on-premise data gateway, right? But you can also, if you're just using Power BI as a desktop solution, you can also hook it up directly to the ODBC connection and pull the data that way. In the past, before the on-premise data gateway was capable of using ODBC, we had a lot of clients actually using Sage Intelligence scheduled reports to get the data to Power BI. So, and we still have some that do that. So you can create a Sage Intelligence report, you schedule it, it runs the data into Excel, it dumps the data on a OneDrive that can be accessed from Power BI, and then Power BI gets the data from there, right? It's not the most elegant version of getting to your data, but it really works. So that's really just a quick overview of how to connect your Sage 100 to Microsoft Power. Let's take a look at say Sage Intacct now. Finally, let me move this over here and connect to my Sage Intacct. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm logged into Sage Intacct here, and I'm starting on a dashboard. So um, Sage Sage Intacct is an extremely powerful ERP solution. It's web based and um, cloud native. You don't need a Sage server. You don't need a terminal server. It's all you need really is a web browser. It's automatically updated quarterly by Sage, so you don't have to worry about scheduling upgrade projects, and you don't fall out of support. So that's all great. Um, it comes with these dashboards, right? And dashboards are fully customizable. Um, we can have those dashboards by function. We can have them um, by by role, right? We can have them for operations. So we can set up multiple dashboards here, really to our needs. And most of our clients utilize the dashboards actually as their starting page for Intacct. So in Intacct, I can decide how I want to start my program, what I want to see first, and oftentimes clients use these dashboards. So on these dashboards, we can add a lot of different elements like financial KPIs, statistical KPIs, financial reports, graphs, checklists. if we are working with approval workflows in Intacct, we can add those. We have a messaging functionality in here. We can add the message feeds and we can add links. So we can set those up really exactly how our users want to use them. And that gives us a lot of the functionality that we can accomplish with Power BI, but we're right here where our data actually lives, right? So that's a great benefit. So we can go with our dashboards, we can go back in time if we want to, right? So I have the uh, ability to go say like, well, I want to see my dashboard, not my numbers, not as of 12/31/2018. I actually want to see them as of November, right? So I can just go here to November, hit this button, hit apply, and now I see my number as of this particular date, right? I don't have to rerun all these reports. I don't have to go into 10 different places to get to these numbers. I can just do that, right? And I'm right here. So let me go to my CFO dashboard here. Looks a little fancier. So I can do that. I can also filter. I can filter my dashboards by my dimensions, and I will talk about dimensions here in a bit. So I'm back here at my 12/1/2018 dashboard, and now I can say like, well, I want to see these numbers just for a particular location, right? I can do that just for location 100, or I can combine those things. So I can say like, I want to see it for my entity 100 together with my revenue stream A, whatever that might mean for you, right? Different products that we are putting together, and now these numbers come down to this, right? So it's very powerful how I can combine those things. I showed you the drill down capabilities that we have in Sage Intelligence here. Very, very similar. We are able to drill down to the invoice level if we want to. So I have my operating expenses here. Every time I hover over something and it shows in blue, that means I can drill down. So I can go here, and now I'm in my operating expenses report, and from here I could easily go down and find expenses that I think I need to take a look at, right? So my travel expenses, something that I want to dig into, and I can just go here. Oh, there's a professional fees expense that I had, so I can go down there, and then I see, okay, this is an intercompany transaction entry, and I can drill down to here to the journal entry level, or if it's an invoice, a bill, I can drill down to the bill level, right? So I can build these dashboards, completely customize them. I can show these KPIs, I can show reports, all the good stuff, and I can filter by my dimensions. And I wanna show you um, a little bit more what dimensional accounting actually means. So let's get back to our slides here real quick. So for those of you that are currently not using Sage Intacct, this dimensional accounting approach might be new. So let's take a look at what it actually means. So many classic accounting systems, including Sage 100, use this segment-based chart of account structure to capture information, right? So we have a natural account, then we might have a location, in our example, a location, a department, and a project, right? So in this scenario here, we have 3 locations, 5 departments, and 5 projects. And that brings us, in theory, to like a combination of 75 possible GL accounts that I might need to set up, right? So that is a lot to maintain on the GL account side. And it also is a lot to deal with when it comes to reporting. So Sage Intacct, in Sage Intacct, we really don't do that. We only use the natural account, and then we utilize the dimensions, and we can tag our transactions with dimensions, and that that replaces this whole chart of account structure. Sometimes we might use one segment just to code things like intercompany transactions, but most of the time you don't really need anything more than the natural account. So in Sage Intacct, we have seven base dimensions. We have the customer, the vendor, and employees if we use those. We have locations, departments, and classes, and then on top of that, we have items. And if we use specific modules, if we use inventory, we also have warehouses. If we use project costing, we have projects, and we have contracts if we use the contract model. And we can make use of all of these dimensions, and we can add additional ones if we need to. And um, that that really gives us so much flexibility in coding all of our transactions in a way that allows for stunning financial reporting, and I will show that to you in a bit here. So um, let's say we're looking at one of our dimensions here. I have these 5 different groups: sales, services, admin, marketing, and product, and I can have additional child objects there, right? So I can, under admin, I can code out my HR department, my finance department, my IT department, and so on. And I could even group it further, right? So I can have like 3 levels deep there if I want to, or 4 levels deep, not a problem. And I can then report on any of these levels, on any of these combinations, and I can even get into reporting in a pivot style, right? So it's really great what I can do. And let's take a look at this in Sage Intacct, and let's do some financial reporting here out of Sage Intacct. So let's take a look at the financial reports that we have. So we go here, general ledger financial reports. We can see we have a lot of reports here in our test environment that we can work with. We can run them out to HTML, so show them here on the screen. We can run them to CSVs, PDFs, Excel files, and we can also schedule them right away, right? So um, let's look at a P&L statement, right? So here my profit and loss statement as percentage of revenue. I want to run this out to my screen directly, and you can see I have 2 of my dimensions right here that I can filter by if I want to. I can say I want to see revenue stream A for location 100 if I want to, right? But I just want to run it out for everything here. So I can do this. I click here, and here's my profit and loss statement with for my period, for my quarter, for my year, with my percentages. So, and I will leave this open here for now. So I can easily go here and change my filters, right? So for those of you who use the tool, you can go here, edit the report, click on filters, and I can say like, well, I want to also always select a customer. So you could run this for a specific customer if you want to, right? So I could include this as a prompt. Or what I can also do is I can create specific reports and hard code those filters, right? I can say I want to run my profit and loss statement uh, only for specific revenue types, and I can filter those here, right? So I'm able to pre hard code those specific things that I want to see. Then I'm not getting prompted for it. I have this filter set up, and my report will look the same way, but already has everything pre-filtered in there, right? So uh, great feature here. So what I can also do is, while I'm here in my edit, I just want to cancel out of this here and then go back into it. So if I'm editing my reports, again, I'm here in my profit and loss statement. I can expand my financial reports easily by my dimensions. So I can go into my columns here. I can say, well, I want to add an additional column here on the left. So I do that. And now I can say, I want to expand this. It's an actual column for the current month, so it's the same as I see in the other column, but I want to expand this by, let's see, my revenue type. And I can decide if I want to just do one level down. I told you I can have these multiple levels, right? These parent-child relationships. I want to just do one level down with roll up, or I want to show all levels. Let's do one level down with roll up, and I can set this, and I can just do a preview here to HTML. And now you see I have, this is my original report where I have my months, quarter, year periods. Now I go here, I still have these periods because these columns because I didn't take them out. But now I also have my revenue types. And I only had revenue in revenue type 1, 4, and 7, right? And again, the wording, whatever this would be for you, would not be revenue type, it would be something meaningful. But now I have it broken down here. And in this environment here, the system is not set up to require the revenue type to always be coded where revenue occurs. So this is why I have here, I have some transactions where I don't have a revenue type assigned, right? So I have this here, I have these 3 revenue types, and then I have one where there's nothing assigned, then I have a total here. So it's easy to do that. I can also say like, well, I don't want to do this by revenue type. I actually want to extend my financial report by locations, right? And I want to do all levels with individual balance. And you see, it takes me literally a second to modify this report and save it separately, right? And I go here, and now I have the same report, the same template, but now it's broken out here by my location. So here, this is my entity 100, and Boston and New York fall into this entity. Then I have my entity 200, which is my company 200, and Dallas and San Francisco fall into this. And then I have my entity 300 that doesn't have any locations under it. And this is all together here. And here again, you can see we have something coded just because I said I want to see it just individual. I have my Boston numbers, my New York numbers, and then I have $11,000 that were not coded to either Boston or New York. So they were just coded directly to this entity, right? So it's not the totals, it's just what came in individually. So the totals really is just as all locations. All of this together makes up these 2.4 million. So it's very easy for you to just extend your financial reports and build out these reports by whatever metric you wanna use. So um, we can we can also report on on things like our items, right? So oftentimes in Sage 100, for example, clients want to see specific metrics by their items. Here, the item is a dimension, so we are able to utilize these financial reports. The difference is we're not reporting on the module data from AR. We're actually doing financial reports. This is real financial data that we are looking at. So I can go here and let's say, I don't know, I want to run a balance sheet and I want to extend this by my items, right? Again, I can go to my columns here. I click here, add my column on the left side. Did I do it? And now I say I want to expand this by my item. Okay, I set it, I preview it. And what you see now coming up here is, and that's incredible. I have a financial report that that shows me my balance sheet by item. This is not by product line. This is by item, right? So I could have this. Of course, it doesn't really make sense if I have thousands of widgets that I sell, but I can, right? I can also filter this. So if I, for whatever reason, want to see a financial report just for one particular item, I can put a filter in and I can see that. I can combine those into separate groups, and I can show you that real quick, and how this changes my um, reporting. So instead of doing this by items, I can say I actually want to utilize something that we call an Intacct dimension structure, which is the ability to group my dimension values by a property, right? For items, I could basically create a report and group all my red items together. So I could basically run a financial report by item color if I want to, right? So let's take a look at this here. So I use my dimension structure, one level down is fine. And then on top of here, I can select my dimension structure. So I'm going here and I'm going to select my item and I have to set up my dimension structure and I will show this to you in a second. I go to all my product lines. I hit OK. I hit my preview here and I see now my items. These are again my items, but this time it's grouped into my product line, surveillance, entry, accessories, and then all product lines together. And this is not a fixed thing. I can go into my report section here and go to my dimension groups on my item here, right? These are my dimension groups. Hey, well, entry is either I can hard code specific items, right? Or I can set a filter in. So my filter here is GL group equals entry. I could also say the color equals blue, right? And this way I can really create financial reports with detailed information as I need it, but also grouped information together as I need it. So if I want to report on 5 items together, 3 random locations together, I can filter those all up and report on those together. And the last thing that I want to show you, because I see we're running short on time here, is we are able to run financial reports in a pivot style. So I have this customer revenue by customer report, right? So if I run this, you can see here um, that on the top again, I have my items, but again, I could use other structures to group this together in a more meaningful way if would be too detailed. And then on the left side, I have customer types, which is also a dimension, and or I have the customer, which is a dimension, and the customers belong to customer types, and with that, I'm able to basically report on 2 dimensions in a pivot style. Here I have my items, here I have my customers, and I can break this down. So that really solves for a lot of reporting needs that our clients have. And these reporting groups, structures, dimension structures are really easy to set up. And we are very happy to help you if you have questions on that, on how to set those up and how to work with them. We're also happy to talk to you in more detail if you want to see a full blown demo of Sage Intacct, or if you want to learn more about Sage Intelligence. And with that, I would like to end my demo here for today, but I'm happy to take any questions if Courtney has any questions that came up.
Hi, Bastian. Thank you for showing us so much of Sage Intelligence and Sage Intacct. That was really great. And we have had some questions that came through during the presentation. So if you're ready for those, I could start reading those
Yes.
off. And if anyone has some questions that they haven't submitted yet, you can go to the questions section in your GoToWebinar or in the chat box, and we'll get Bastian to answer your question. So our first question is for someone that currently has Sage Intelligence, and it's sort of a problem they're having. So they say they have Sage Intelligence consolidation financial report that takes about 10 to 15 minutes to run. During that time, Sage Intelligence will take control of their mouse during every processing step, so that basically they can't do anything else during that time. Is there a way around this?
Yes. So it really depends on how many companies we are consolidating, right? So Sage runs the data from all these different companies into Excel, and that takes some time. But what we have seen, or what I have found out, is that a lot of the time it takes is actually Excel preparing the data, and this is when this mouse feature happens, right? That it goes back to Excel. So if it's on your local computer, it takes 10 minutes. You can't really do anything with it. And one way around this is, and you can reach out to us and we can work with that on that together. Is if we set up the template in Sage Intelligence to not use automatic calculations in Excel, right? You can say you want to only manual calculate. You can set the template to manual calculations, save it back to Sage Intelligence, the template, and then when you run it, it will run much faster. So I have seen reports that without this would run for 20 minutes and then ran within like 1 minute, right? So significant change there. Um, and we can put a macro in the report that basically when it's done running, it runs the macro that puts the automatic calculation back on, because you need that for the numbers to properly populate. So you don't have to do it manually. But it's a simple fix to get the time down significantly there for these large consolidations. And I want to point out this really happens if you report on a lot of data or a lot of companies.
Okay, great. So it's good to know there is a solution for that. Our next question came in when you were doing your initial Intacct demo, I think showing the dashboards. So they wanted to know if that was something different than the business insight dashboards. Like, were you showing an add-on, or is that just how Sage Intacct comes?
No, so these dashboards are not an add-on. That is part of Sage Intacct. It's not Sage 100, right? So Sage Intacct is a separate ERP solution, and that's ERP solution. Sage Intacct does have those dashboard capabilities, so it's not Sage 100.
Great, and I think that will cover our last question that we've had submitted so far, was asking, does Sage Intacct work in connection with Sage 100? And so that is, a separate ERP solution, and it'll have a different cost than Sage 100 will. So that was our final question, and I think we don't have any more questions right now. And if you think of something after the webinar, feel free to reach out to SWK Marketing. Feel free to reach out directly to Bastian, and we will answer those questions for you. Bastian, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thanks everyone for your time. And as Courtney said, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to help you with your Sage Intelligence needs, or find someone internally here. So there's a lot that can be done, and I hope we were able to give you today some ideas. Right, that's really all that we can do in 1 hour. My approach was I want to make sure you see some of the capabilities so that you can come back to us and say, like, Bastian, based on what we have seen, would it be possible to do this or that? Right. So there's a lot that can be done on the reporting side in Sage 100 and in Sage Intacct, and we are here to help if you need us.
Great. Well, again, thank you, Bastian, for giving us a sneak peek into Intacct and Sage 100, Sage Intelligence, and for taking the time to do that today. And thanks to everyone in the audience for attending this webinar. We'll send you a recording tomorrow afternoon, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.